Welcome back to the Inside Athletic Training Podcast. Today we're diving into the PBATS One-Day Charity, an annual fundraiser led by the minor league medical coordinators to support a chosen cause. In 2025, all donations for the One-Day Charity will go to the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Joining us today is Chris Whitman, the minor league medical coordinator for the St. Louis Cardinals, who chairs this incredible initiative. We'll discuss how the fundraiser works, why this year's cause is so important, and also how you can get involved. Stay tuned for a great conversation and enjoy the show. All right, Chris, welcome to the Inside Athletic Training Podcast. Super excited to have you on for a special episode today, talking about your role in organizing and running the PBATS annual one-day charity. We'll get into all the details about the charity, what it's for, what it benefits, how people can contribute and donate if they should want to. But to start the show today, Chris, I want to kind of share a bit of background information about you and your journey in athletic training. So share with the listeners kind of what led you to your current role with the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. I appreciate you having me on. I started with the Cardinals back in 2015, so coming up on 10 seasons with them. Started out as short season athletic trainer in Johnson City, Tennessee, which obviously no longer exists, but awesome place to start and make my way up. I kind of advanced through the system, hitting State College, our Palm Beach affiliate, and then finishing in AA Springfield. And then in 2022 started as our minor league medical coordinator.
Yeah, obviously a wealth of experience with the Cardinals in the game, and now cool to see you kind of leading the charge with the one-day charity, which we're really here to talk about. So let's start by sharing with our listeners a little bit about the one-day charity. Obviously it's an annual charitable fundraiser established by the minor league coordinators, but would love for you to kind of share more background about the charity, how it started, who is involved, and all that good stuff, so the listeners can learn more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was established back in 2012 during winter meetings when the minor league medical coordinators kind of got together, had their annual meetings, discuss past season, discuss upcoming season. This was something that was kind of brought up of, maybe this is something we should start doing, something to help us make an impact outside the game of baseball. So, kind of the mission that we came up with it during that 2012 winter meetings is being able to give back to the organization with a greater cause and making an impact outside the game of baseball. The initial idea was that all minor league athletic trainers would donate 1 day's worth of meal money during spring training, hence the one-day charity name that came from that. And then, honestly, it's been great. It's grown over the years. It's expanded to not just the minor league athletic trainers, but to MLB staff, to front office staff, to field staff, players, anybody and then everybody that's willing to help and donate. So it's been really cool to see how it's grown since it was initially discussed in 2012 and. Honestly, so 2013, obviously after that winter meetings was the first year implemented. Since then, we've been able to raise almost $297,000 over all the charities that we've kind of helped and supported, with the kind of averaging being about $30,000 per spring training.
Yeah, so much raised for great causes, and we'll let you talk about some of those, but just for the listeners out there, examples in 2017, One Day Charity raised almost $40,000 for the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. 2019, over $44,000 for Ronald McDonald House Charities, many others that we'll let you talk about, just to kind of share a few there. Before we get into kind of the charities and the organizations that have benefited from the One Day Charity, how did you personally get involved? I know you're in the group and you're, someone who is relied on in that role of the minor league coordinator, who started the charity. How did you get involved in leading the charge here? I know, past leaders like Nate Brooks, who has moved on to a big league role with the Athletics. How'd you get involved and what has that meant to you thus far?
Yeah. So, during actually my first winter meetings as a medical coordinator, we're kind of going through the docket of all the committees that involve kind of all the medical coordinators and some of the openings that needed to be filled from previous coordinators that have gotten big league jobs or have left the
Mhm.
game of baseball. But this was one that kind of stuck out to me. They were looking for some Florida spring training reps to help with the collection of donations and answering any questions kind of throughout spring for your local teams that are participating. So I volunteered for that, be the Florida rep back in 2022. It's been a really cool experience, really enjoyable kind of working with, like you said, Nate Brooks, who previously was the chair of the committee. As you mentioned too, Nate took a big league position with the
Mhm.
A's, and so the committee chair was open, and there was a couple returning committee members, but I thought saw it as an opportunity to kind of keep it rolling and use what I've learned over the last few years as one of the representatives to make sure we kind of keep things going as we are. We're trying to continue to grow those donations and
Mhm.
each year trying to be better than the next year.
Absolutely. And you guys have done some amazing work. I mean, just the dollar amount you shared at the, beginning of the show, incredible to think that minor league coordinators in baseball who are so busy can kind of pull this together. With that said, over the years, so many incredible organizations, I mentioned a few of them, have been supported by you guys. First, I want to hear from you. Talk about some of the organizations in the past who have been supported and benefited from the One Day Charity, and also, we'll get into why they were chosen as well.
Yeah, so I mean, some of the ones that we've had in the past, last year we had the Special Olympics, which was an awesome one to support and be a part of. We were able to raise almost $26,000 with them
Hmm.
throughout the 2024 spring. We've had Be the Match, which was a really cool one to be a part of. With their mission is to find organ donor matches from
Hmm.
across the country, across the world of for those in need. We were able to do a few years ago For Mom, which
Hmm.
is an organization that was actually started by two previously minor league baseball players.
Yeah.
So it's really cool when you get an organization to support like that that's got ties to the game.
Hmm.
Really means something because I mean, as you're aware, baseball and minor league baseball, major league baseball, it's all kind of part of the family.
Sure.
So when you get organizations like that, it's really great to kind of support and you see some really good support throughout the organizations.
Yeah, and another one that kind of sticks out to me is I think in 2018 the One Day Charity raised almost $43,000 for the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. One of our fellow members, Roger Kaplinger from the Brewers, you know, fortunately beat pancreatic cancer years ago and is still doing great today. And it's kind of cool, like you mentioned, to connect the game to these causes. When you guys are choosing them and choosing the organizations you want to support, is it walk us through that process? Is it connections from minor league coordinators? Is it connections from just people in baseball? How do you guys go about choosing the organization that's going to benefit each year?
Yeah, so we try to do a couple different voting rounds amongst all the organizations. The each organization's minor league medical coordinator will kind of take point on that. I'll get nominations from one nomination from every organization, and then kind of throw that out for the group. We'll kind of get a top three voting. So, here's our nominations from all organizations this year. Please send back your top three choices. From there, we'll be able to choose and kind of then knock it down to two, and everybody, please send back your top choice. So kind of just a voting process of getting everybody's top choice of support of
Yeah.
it's really nice like supporting any kind of charity, but when it has something that's meaningful behind it, like you mentioned with Roger's case and
Hmm.
some of the other previous ones we've had in the past, it means a lot. And so
Yep.
that definitely plays a role when we kind of choose, or at least going through the voting process.
And getting into this year, 2025 One Day Charity, the charity will go towards the V Foundation for Cancer Research. That was founded in 1993, I believe, by ESPN and the late Jim Valvano, who was a legendary North Carolina State University basketball coach. I think so many of us have seen his speeches, the Never Give Up, and how impactful he was, and just the attitude for those fighting for their lives. The V Foundation has funded over $353 million in cancer research and grants nationwide and awards 100% of those direct donations to cancer research and related programs. Talk about the decision process to work with the V Foundation and kind of what that means to the coordinators this year.
Yeah, I mean, this was one that was showing great support as we were kind of going through that voting process, and
Mm-hmm.
again, it's kind of got that sports connection, right? Like as you
Yep.
mentioned with Jimmy V and and ESPN, and it's been really cool to kind of be a part of that, and um, I think having that connection in the sports world is something that's really important. And
Mm-hmm.
you can see the impact that Jimmy V had on college basketball, and like you said, the speeches that we've all seen kind of shown. And I think that's something that really resonates not only in the college basketball world, but in baseball and all sports. And um, so I think that had a big driving force in kind of the voting process,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to choose the V Foundation as our 2025 charity.
As we think about the donations and something you mentioned earlier, Chris, you talked about how originally this charity was, hey, the minor league coordinators, which there's 30 of them, there's some assistants now, but the one for each team. It used to be donating 1 day of meal money or whatever you had mentioned earlier. How cool is it to see that it's, a public charity now? There's athletic trainers, team physicians, front office members, players, fans, everybody, other societies in sports and sports medicine. How cool is it to kind of see how big this has gotten? Not only under your direction, obviously you've had a huge impact, but also Nate Brooks and Joe Roush and all the guys that kind of came before you. How awesome is it to see that how this thing has grown?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome, obviously, like, taking over after Nate took the big league position, and seeing what him and Joe have been able to put or lay out in front of me. And I mean, it's been, easy in that aspect from all
Sure.
the footwork, the groundwork that they've placed beforehand. But I mean, it's awesome. Like presenting this to, for me and for my organization with the St. Louis Cardinals, like presenting it to the front office staff, presenting it to the players, like seeing the involvement from clubhouse staff to front office staff to field staff. And it's not something that I just stand up and give a spiel, but it's something that there's actively listening, actively participating in. And
Yeah.
you get questions from players of wanting to know a little bit more about the charity, or what is the best way they can donate, or just asking the questions and getting the message out there. It's been awesome to see, and like I said, it's been a great experience thus far, and I have a lot to thank from Nate and Joe before that.
And one thing that's interesting to me and kind of makes total sense is athletic trainers like yourself and PBATS members, they're focused on taking care of athletes and serving others. I think it goes hand in hand with charity and raising money for foundations and charitable causes like this. Do you think it's kind of like a natural instinct for you guys to engage in like philanthropy and community initiatives just because that's kind of what you do for work?
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. I never really kind of thought about it that way, but yeah, I mean you've seen some great support from
Hmm.
the athletic trainers across the board, and it may be kind of just second nature for us as
Yeah.
wanting to help out and lend a hand, and
Hmm.
kind of be the first one to help. So
Yeah.
I like that thought process on it.
And looking forward, I know each year you guys pick a new charity and do the voting process, like you mentioned. Do you guys have a vision for the charity going forward? Any long-term goals for expansion, or is it kind of, a year by year, you're going to choose a charity and see if you can do better, financial and raise as much money as possible for that group?
I think the main focus right now is continue just year by year, and obviously continue to grow, continue to get more donations. Um, I do see somewhere in the future that it can, if there is kind of specific charities out there. Again, like we kind of mentioned and talked about it earlier, but I think one of the big things is getting something that's relatable to the sport or to the group. Same thing kind of, for instance, with the V Foundation this year, like mentioning kind of the connection with sports and the sports world
Yeah.
in general, but it's everybody's kind of affected by cancer as well, and it's a big topic of discussion and research and everything. So I think
Yeah.
it's another one that can really hit home with a lot of people, and I think that's kind of a big. If we can continue focusing on stuff that's close to heart and close to the game, that would be a great direction to keep rolling.
No doubt about it. And Chris, I know we've talked a lot about the minor league coordinators, and this is the charity started by this group, which is a small subset of athletic trainers in sports and baseball. Let's share with the listeners who might not be familiar. Talk about the minor league coordinator. You are in that position. Like I said, there's one for each club. Sometimes there's an assistant. Talk about your day to day. What you guys do for the clubs and what makes that position so impactful.
Yeah, I mean it's a awesome position that I've been a part of, and like having some oversight of all the minor league players, all the affiliates,
Mm-hmm.
having that connection and contact with all the minor league athletic trainers, being a resource for them, being a branch to help and an extension kind of the whole medical department, and from going through things of the chaos of setting up physicals during spring training, because we just went through that a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and being able to kind of get out to visit each affiliate, and making sure kind of like just our processes are in line and ready to go, and your communication with your team physicians, and just, I mean, it's kind of all encompassing, really. Like
Yeah.
it, kind of before I got into this role, I didn't kind of realize how much of that involvement is. So it's been a lot of fun to kind of get in that involvement, and almost be, you're part of a bunch of meetings with front office staff to coaching staff to
Mm-hmm.
your affiliates to everybody. It's
Yeah.
been a lot of fun to be a part of that.
Yeah, for those listeners who aren't familiar with kind of the hierarchy of baseball athletic training staffs, the minor league coordinator, like Chris was talking about, is kind of has his hands on everything from the lowest level affiliates, who are also extremely important, up to the front office and working with, Adam Olson and Chris Conroy and the guys up in the big league. So really, really important position. And you guys still find time to do some amazing work, like the One-Day Charity. Well, Chris, we really appreciate you coming on to talk about this. Before we go, and again, we'll share this in the show notes and on our social media channels and email and everywhere so people can find it. Talk about where people can go to donate, where they can find more information about the V Foundation and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so if you're part of an or part of a MLB organization, your minor league medical coordinator will have access to the flyers that the V Foundation provided for us. It'll give a little bit rundown of some facts with the V Foundation, and on there there'll be a QR code. On that QR code, it'll take you directly to the donations page, where you'll be able to kind of fill out a donation submission and go through that aspect of it, that route. If you don't have access to the poster, we'll have the link and kind of flyer posted throughout social media. You can go through there. And if you want to find out more information on the V Foundation, that link will also take you and give you a little bit more of a rundown. But as well, you can always go to v.org for their website and information, for more information on there.
Perfect. Well, yeah, we'll share all of that information, the link to the PBATS One-Day Charity homepage, on our social media and everywhere that you can find PBATS. Well, Chris, again, really appreciate all the work you do for this and for PBATS and just your dedication to this charity, you and all your colleagues, minor league coordinators across the league, and wish you and the Cardinals nothing but the best of luck as you guys kind of break camp here in a couple weeks.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for listening to the Inside Athletic Training Podcast. For more information about PBATS and athletic training, visit pbats.com. See you next time.